All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Let's look at the stock charts. We'll figure out, if there's any trade setups, trade actionable trade ideas, anything going on there, and then we'll wrap up. So give me a audio check, and I'll just jump right into it. Just let me know if you guys can hear me okay. So we will, we're going to start off, I'll start off with a broad market analysis, jump into some individual trade ideas. I've got a few things that I'm kind of watching specifically that I think are pretty good setups, but obviously every setup is a conditional setup. So if I give you guys a trade setup, there's certain conditions that must be met in order for that trade setup to become an actionable trade. And so that's what we continue to look for on many of these as kind of those conditions to take place. Triple Qs, obviously, Friday was really like a trend day, basically. It just gapped up and just grinded higher all day. Really no pullbacks. Just the algos were just set on buy. And not even any little dips. So that's all that was. On the daily chart, we've got this wedge. We're kind of violating it now. I mean, it was intact previously. You got support. Actually, I could probably pull this. I could probably pull this down just maybe right up to right about there. Tweet right there. But several tags of that. We broke that right before Nvidia gapped up, failed it again, moved up. We're chopping through things right now. So the market's relatively choppy. But the pullbacks are obviously being bought. We're pretty extended, I would say. I mean, if you look at the RSI on the daily, it's not extremely extended. We could become more extended, but there is divergence. All right, so if they're gonna extend this thing more, it's gonna burn through this divergence. Let me kind of clean this up. And right there, see the negative divergence. Momentum is dropping. We're making higher highs in price. All right, and like here, divergent high, divergent high, divergent high. Okay, each new high is a divergent high, which has been followed by a pullback. So I know on days like Friday where everything seems great, but if you just look at the past, even just narrow it down to the past kind of time frame, you make a divergent high, you sell off. All right, there's a what 3% pullback. I mean, the pullbacks have been small. Granted, here's a divergent high here. You sell off. That's a 3.5%. All right, and here's a divergent high here, and if we sell off, you know, maybe that gets us down to this. There's support right down here on the triple Qs, 434.21. There's some support right there. That's the gap up on the Nvidia earnings right there. So that should be support. All right. So we need to take that out because this trend line has been violated many times. I would set that as my sell signal. To be honest, I think we get down here. Buyers should be there, all right? And if they're not, or if there's more sellers than buyers, we fail that, we break, we should flush down to fill the gap pretty quickly. And that would be a sell signal as well on Nvidia. All right, so that's what I'm looking for on that, or well, that's what I'm looking for on triple Qs. But obviously the big gap up right here, that's due to the Nvidia earnings, okay? So triple Qs, I need to see that those Nvidia gap up prices get taken out, and then we'll start to have a trade that we can actually, you know, take a larger position on. Now, if we keep going higher, let's just say let's just say that doesn't happen, because again, that's just a condition. This condition of breaking that support needs to take place in order for, you know, kind of action to be taken on the short side. If we don't do that, and let's just say we keep going higher, then you're going to burn through the divergence. All right, it's got to go up quite a bit, but let's say we burn through the divergence. That would be very bullish, all right, to see that, you know, to burn through a negative divergence on, especially, you know, on an extended uptrend like that, that would be pretty bullish. So at that point, it does kind of change things to the point where now it will look like we'd want to switch and start buying dips. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could. But I'm seeing a lot of divergences aren't just in the triple Qs. They're really all over the place. So let's just leave it at that. Oh, and then I want to look at the QQQE. Here's our equal weighted triple Qs. Again, these haven't made all-time highs. You know, the triple Qs is making all-time highs because of like Nvidia, basically one stock, maybe a few stocks, but Nvidia, Microsoft, Meta, there's a couple, but in general, it's just one, you know, just 3 stocks out of the entire stock market is pushing that indice up. Here's the equal weighted. Now we're coming into a double top, but it hasn't made new all-time highs. So if you really look at stocks from an equal weighted perspective, we're still below those all-time highs. We'll see what happens there. On that one, negative divergence is intact. We do have this trend line here. Again, I wouldn't put too much weighting into this trend line on the equal weighted, but that's the best trend line I can make. Support, 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 and then back testing from below. All right, there's a new divergent high with a high probability of failing. They're probably going to run up and make that double top. You're so close. Usually when you see such a key level, and again, that's a key level, it's a double top. Actually, I need to probably pull it down just a little bit. It's right about there. So we're just underneath it. So usually when you have such a key level, you're going to either fall short of that level or overshoot it. Usually you're not going to just run up and hit it to the dime and then roll over or whatever. So fall short or overshoot. Who knows? So that's the equal weighted. Let's look at the SPY. SPY here. Again, SPY's pushing to make all-time highs. But again, the SPY super heavily weighted on the tech sector. And the tech sector, as we all know, is very heavily weighted towards just a couple stocks. So, again, very narrow rally in general. Narrow leadership. But there's still a rally obviously going on. The equal weighted is almost making a double top. So, there's still many stocks are rallying. SPY, again, trend line right there. There's your break on Nvidia, pre-Nvidia earnings. There's your gap up, kind of chopping through it. New divergent high. There's your negative divergence. So we have negative divergence. It's just a matter of when do we get the sell signals? When do we get the major sell signals that tell us that this uptrend's over? We don't have that yet, so we have to wait for that. And then the RSP, the equal weighted S&P 500, has not made new all-time highs, coming close to a double top, very similar to that QQQE. Let me mark that out right there. All right, there's your double top area. We're close enough. I mean, look, most professional traders, you'll hear it, they sell double tops. All right, double tops, it's a pattern. There's a lot of selling pressure up there, so they sell double tops. Doesn't mean it can't break above the double top, but usually what you'll see is it either is going to fall short or slightly overshoot. Then you're going to get a meaningful pullback. Then if it's going to break that double top and call it good, you might get that after that. But usually you're going to have some sort of a meaningful pullback around a double top. But I'm not going to just short this thing because of the double top. I need to have sell signals. On this one, you have negative divergence. That remains there. You have a trend line. Yeah, I guess where I had it's about as good. We're kind of, again, getting kind of choppy through this trend line. So we'll see. Waiting for that sell signal on that one. Okay, and then we've got, and Kyle, appreciate the super chat. I'll look at the miners and what's going on there. And gold. Gold futures, they're interesting for sure, especially with where we close on Friday. Okay, so that is that. Let's look at these Mag 7s. Tesla, nothing really going on there. I don't see anything tradable here. You know, this is I pointed Tesla out as a trade idea in the private member group, saying this was a buy signal here, with the first target being gap fill, and it's close enough where, you know, if you took that trade, I would take the profit. You know, that's a 8% gain on that one. Could go higher, but as of right now, it's kind of at resistance. Apple, this is interesting to me because Apple, they were trying to save this thing on Friday. I was really keeping an eye on that. But on Apple, you've got this support right through here, okay? And you can see where they closed the day, just below it, right there at 179. Now, it's only 50 cents below-ish, you know, because support's about 180. You know, it's about 180. So I think it's still too close to call as a breakdown. I need to see more data. That's not impulsive breakdown there that would really get me excited. So I'm going to, you know, we'll give that more room. It's still too close to say that. But if you get a gap down on like Monday, or you see some sort of a gap down or continued downside, that would be what we'd be looking for a breakdown on Apple. Okay. So we'll see what happens there. Otherwise, this could just be a false breakdown. Okay. The buyers were in there on Friday. Here's the hourly chart. You can see what's going on. They were breaking it down. Let me clean that up. And then the buyers were stepped in to buy the dip. I pointed out a comment to a subscriber about Apple breaking down, and they said they added to shorts. And I said, well, the one thing you're going to want to look for, there's two scenarios here, most likely scenarios. One, the rest of the fangs notice that Apple's selling off and breaking down, and they start trading in line. They start selling off. Or two, the dip buyers notice that Apple's breaking down, and they step in and try to buy the dip on the weak one. And that's what happened, basically. They were looking at, they were buying that. So I think as long as NVIDIA's just pumping, it emboldens the bulls, and they're going to step in to buy dips. That's the way it seems that it's been working right now. So, but again, there's no recovery here. So this could be a long trade if we see some sort of recovery. There's also a downtrend line to watch. You start breaking above that would probably be a buy signal on Apple, and you're probably going to get a rally, maybe even up to these highs again. Okay, so potential long trade there. Or a potential short trade. We don't know which one it is because it's right at that. It's close enough to that trend line where I don't know which way it's going to go. There's no real the thing is, there's no real negative divergence on Apple either. We've had this downward price action, and you've got downward momentum there, but that's not divergence, just down price, down momentum. You do have some bullish divergence. If you look right here, slight bullish divergence on the RSI, not really on the PPO though. So I don't know. we'll give it some more room. Nvidia, we talked about that one. That's just kind of in mania mode. So no trade really on that one. Google's breaking down. It continues to look weak. I mean, look, that continues to look weak to me. I want to check the weekly chart real quick on this one. Yeah, let's just double check. We'll see what we got going on here. Right about there. Okay, there's your long-term bull trend in Google. We'll just go with that. There's COVID. There's whatever that is. And, yeah. So, I don't know. It looks weak. That's the weekly chart. We have a weekly sell signal on Google. So, to me, it seems like Google's heading down to the long-term trend line. If Google does that, we're probably going to see the other Mag 7s do something similar. All right, there's Microsoft. Let's see here. Back to the daily chart. Still holding bull trend. No change on that one. Negative divergence remains. So it's just a matter of time is what it seems like. But again, this can go up and make a new high. We can continue to diverge. Divergences can build for a while. Sometimes they build for a month or two, and then they'll break. So we can't just short because of divergence. It just cues us in that the trend change is likely sooner rather than later. Meta, negative divergence, still kind of, rallying. This is post-earnings action, making a new divergent high on Friday. So they're probably going to sell into it, but we'll see. I think we're going to stick within this range, but we'll see. Again, no real actionable trade there yet. And then Amazon, same thing as Google. There's your bull trend there on Amazon. That's not it didn't quite get there on support, but holding that bullish trend. What do I got this line up here? This is the highs, the all-time highs. So you got two reactions. I kind of marked it out thinking there might be a third reaction right up there. So we're pretty close. That's the Mag 7. So basically that's the market at this point, at least the broad market. The headlines that you're going to see are all based on the broad market, which are all based on the tech stocks because of the weighting. So in general, that's where you're going to get the media sentiment, the public sentiment is all from basically these couple stocks that are dragging the indices up. There's other weaknesses though. There's some weaknesses in the financials. XLF. Again, I pointed this out to the private member group. This one is one of the better, weaker sectors, it looks like to me. Bearish rising wedge. Look where we're at in that wedge. I mean, we're right at the apex. So it's moving time on this one. Now, I don't know. Here's what, sometimes when you have such a clear wedge, the market makers will run stops. So what they'll do, because everybody's anticipating a breakdown, at least the technical traders are anticipating a breakdown on this, because it's a bearish rising wedge with negative divergence. So sometimes you'll see the market makers pop it, run everybody out of the trade, then dump it. Okay, so that might happen, but in general, we just need to see, a break of this lower trend line would be the sell signal on the financials. And, if you look at these financial stocks, Berkshire Hathaway continuing to sell off. This is the largest one in the financials. Okay, that's continuing to sell off. Bearish engulfing candle. So yeah, that's Berkshire Hathaway. And then you've got JP Morgan. Where are you at? JP Morgan. Not really there's no sell signal on that candle. I mean, that's a bearish engulfing there. And you did get follow through, but you're back testing, negative divergence. The PPO looks like it's starting to turn over. Let me kind of zoom in there. Not quite, but starting to maybe start to point down. So we'll look for a bearish PPO crossover to help confirm. We're back testing this trend line that's been in place for a while. For the entire uptrend, all right, that started back in October of 22. Support, resistance, resistance, resistance. Okay, so with negative divergence, we just need to see some sort of a rejection candle, gap down, big red candle, something. Okay, and between those two, that basically makes up the financials and Visa. Visa's not doing a lot. It's just kind of grinding higher while diverging. So looks like it's topping. Okay, that's all I've got for the broad analysis. I have a couple individual trades that I want to show you guys. And then I'll get into the subscriber picks. Kyle, I'll start off with yours. A&F, Abercrombie, negative divergence. Not, it's still pointed up, so they could burn through this divergence, but it's still there as of right now. And this thing's just gotten stupid. I don't know what's going on with this stock. If I look at the weekly chart, look at this. This is the history of this stock. It's going back to 97. And look, it's just this like parabolic move. That's not a bull market move. All right. Bull markets don't usually have these kinds of moves. Typically, it's going to be a bear market move. But this stock does kind of do this stuff. It does, you can see here's one here. Like this rip. Rallied 400%, and that was followed by a drop of 70%. Okay, so this rally here rallied 500%. I assume it's going to be followed by a drop of a sizable drop, 50% or so. I think the drop will be at least to here about 49. That's your former support area. Okay, so that is, and from where we're at now, yeah, that's a good drop. That would be a drop of 60% or so. Okay, so that's that one. No sell signal. All right, there's just an uptrend. And then, what was the other one I wanted to point out? I think ELF is kind of interesting. Yeah, ELF is interesting to me. You have negative divergence here. It's not completely confirmed because the RSI is pointed up, the PPO is pointed up. We need to see these turn down to confirm the divergence. But here's where the rally started in May of 2022. Support, I got 2 reactions there. And I don't really have any other reactions. So maybe it's not a valid trend line. I need to see another reaction. Maybe we get it right here and now, all right, because we're there. So, yeah, it looks like a blow off top. That looks like a blow off top to me. So, negative. We have negative divergence. We need to see it confirm. We're rallying into a potential resistance with a blow off top. Again, the conditions are there. We need to see a few more things to make that actionable. But big rejection candle or something would probably do the trick. So that's that one. I think that's all I have. I think there might have been one more that I was looking at. Yeah, I guess that's probably all I'll cover on those. Okay, jumping into your guys' stuff. Let's go to the gold stocks. All right, so here's gold futures. Kind of interesting. I'm rolling out on the daily. There's your highs. Let's see here. Yeah, it's basically here. Look, you've got reaction. They fell a little short there, but recently we've got 1, 2. So we have enough reactions there, closing right there at that resistance. All right, so gold closed at resistance on Friday. So, maybe it breaks out, but we don't have a breakout yet. So if anything, it's at resistance. You'd want to be like short or taking profit. This is gold. And if it breaks out, then it can run, because this has been building for a long, long time. If you're an investor, here's the pattern you'd probably want to look at. Because I know a lot of people aren't traders. They're more investors, and especially in the gold stocks. And they've bought into the whole dollar thing going down and all that. And that, I think the dollar will go down over time. But the dollar moving lower is not relative. A lot of people, I know there's a couple of people online that talk about the dollar and how much debt America has, which is obviously true, right? The debt's out of control. But it's all relative to the other currencies, mainly the euro and the yen. So if the dollars has a lot of debt, but the European Union has a bunch of debt, then the dollar can move higher if the euro moves lower. So longer term though, you've got this. This is a rounding bottom, all right, pattern on the weekly chart. That's a consolidation pattern, big long one too. 6-7 years, and then this big consolidation here. Could be a cup and handle, but rounding bottom, cup and handle, and we're kind of right there at that resistance. So if you break the measured target, you take the bottom of the rounding bottom, move it up to the top. This is just rough, but that's your measured target. And then you take that to the point of the breakout, and I have to kind of squeeze my chart. That puts gold at 4,250-ish on that one. So that would be roughly the measured target. That's going to take years, most likely, but it would be a bullish, trend. So could be good over the long term. All right, that's the weekly chart though, so that can take time. We're at resistance now on the daily, so probably a pullback. All right, and then GDX, and you want to look at Newmont. That looks like a breakout to me on GDX. So there's, So there's a downtrend, and to me that looks like a breakout. Not a lot of reactions though. I only have like a couple, but that looks like a breakout on GDX. Yeah. That's what that looks like. And then Newmont, that's the largest component of GDX. GDX to me, that looks like resistance right there. Okay, so that to me that looks like resistance. Look at these reactions through here. You got one there, closing basically at resistance, just like gold. So probably a pullback on this one, which going back to GDX, that would mean, even though if this is a breakout, because again, I only have I have one data point. 2. I don't really have a third, so I don't love that trend line. But Newmont, if it's going to pull back, GDX will probably, pull back. And if this trend line's valid, it would maybe pull back and back test. Okay. That's what I see on that one. What about Barrick? That's the number 2 stock in the GDX. I haven't looked at this one for a while. Yeah, I can't really make that one. I don't know. It's not the cleanest chart right now. I can't really make a clean downtrend line that I would be willing to trust. So I don't know on that one. Long term, decent support right down here. All right. You can see lots of reactions. I mean, look at all these reactions kind of right in there. That's why I have this line marked out. To me, it seems like a major pivot level for it, 1380, and there it is, hit it. I didn't even notice this one, but I've had this blue line for a long time because I noticed it as a key pivot point. All right, look at that support, little consolidation through there, lots of reactions of resistance there. There's COVID, chopped through it there one day on earnings, and the very next day snapped it right back up. False breakdown. Probably had bullish divergence, but and there's another reaction, and there's another. So that's good support. You want to buy at support. And then I did point this out to the private member group, saying they might dump it, but it's really good support right here at 3017. This is Newmont. It's there's support, and they were below it just one day, gapped up, boom, rally. So yeah, exactly as expected. That looked like good support. I figured the buyers would step in there. And this thing's up about 6% since I put out that trade idea in the private member group. So yeah, this one's also interesting. MTA, I was looking at it. This one, I've got this downtrend line. Again, this is all the, look, support, consolidation, boom, up 6% on Friday. The buyer should be there. But then I got some resistance right overhead. So, maybe a little higher, and then we'll see. No definitive like breakouts. It's not like a screaming all in on gold stocks right now. I just don't see enough. But many of them were at like really good support. So the downside seems limited. I would say that. I don't know if there's major upside quite yet, but the downside seems limited. If gold starts to break out above its all-time high, that might be that's gonna be bullish. So we'll keep an eye on that. Okay, thanks for the super chat, Kyle. Moving on. Boeing. Let's take a look at Boeing. Okay, Boeing. Well, you have some bullish divergence. It's pretty shallow. It's not, these shallow divergences can get taken out pretty easily. So that is one thing to keep an eye on. They're trying to hold this level, it looks like. I don't know what this level means. Let me see if there's anything else going on. Oh, I do have my green line here. It's close enough. All right. So, yeah. So that's a level I've previously noticed. And yeah, they're trying to hold that as support. So yeah, that's support. Until broken, it's support. There is bullish divergence, so I would lean long on that one until you take out the support. I would more lean long. However, I don't know if there's really a buy signal. You're at support, but I don't see any kind of breakouts or buy signal or anything that tells me to go along. This can consolidate and then ultimately break. So I'd wait for some sort of a buy signal, some sort of, maybe this trend line, break of that trend line or something like that. BT, is that a railroad stock? What is that one? Is this Bitcoin? What do they do? Who knows what they do? Okay, just give me a second to kind of find the valid support levels. I'd have to go with that one for right now. Benefit of the doubt. You've got support. Mild divergent. That's a divergent low right there. So I would just stick with it being on support until proven otherwise. The only thing is, it's just now proving to be support because you can see before Friday, I only had 2 reactions. Now I've got a third. So we're going to go with that as support. So I would say could rally. It's a junk stock though, so be careful. This looks like a key level there. I don't know why. I guess we'll just go with that. But I would lean towards a rally on that one. Teladoc. Okay, Teladoc. No real divergence. Well, not on the PPO. You've got it on the RSI, but not on the PPO. Clear downtrend. I'd just go with that trend line right there. See this little breakout right here? Didn't quite have negative divergence on the breakout, but yeah, we'll just go with that. And nah, for me, that would be a no touch. I don't see a long here. I don't want to short it. Shorting it would be chasing it. And long, I don't see anything to tell me to go long. So yeah, that's a no touch for me. Okay, moving on. Forward Air. All right, FWRD. So earnings is out of the way. I definitely like to trade after earnings is out of the way. sometimes you can take a shot, but the charts are a lot easier and cleaner without having that earnings risk. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't touch this one either. It's in a downtrend, obvious downtrend. It's completely murdered out. Looks like it's, I don't know, they going bankrupt. What's going on? It's bad. I wouldn't just like say this is a divergent low and let's go long, because look, everything's pointed down. PPO is pointed down, RSI is pointed down, price is pointed down, and there's no buy signal. All right, so there's no reason to like just jump long because I have a potential divergence. So no, that one probably lower. I wouldn't short it though. You know, I want to short rallies into resistance. So if it rallies and it can get up here and everything looks like it's setting it for a short, that's where I want to short at. Once you get some sort of a breakdown or a sell signal, boom, I want to short there. I don't want to short after it's dumped out and everybody wants to short it. I want to short it when it's rallying, making it look like it doesn't want to go down. We get setups, we get the conditions, we get the sell signal, and then nobody wants to short it, and we're jumping in, and that's where you want to short things. That's how you know. So that's that. FTNT. Fortinet. Is this internet? I've heard of this one before. Security maybe. Okay, bullish trend there. Breakdown and backtest. This is probably the pre-NVIDIA earnings, it looks like, and breakdown and backtest. That's what it is. And negative divergence. Just slightly showing up. Not super strong divergence. So maybe they want to push this thing up and make a new divergent high, but you know, or it could grind, make a new divergent high, okay, and then roll. Wait for some sort of a breakdown candle. That's what I would do, because if it wants to grind up here, divergent high, then you'll get the breakdown candle. That would be the sell signal. This is a sell signal. Now it's backtesting, so since it's backtesting, I just wait for some sort of a breakdown candle. But I'd be looking to sell the rip on that one. Filled that gap almost perfect, didn't it? Okay. PHUN. Yeah, kind of a junk stock. Earnings coming up. I mean, I don't know. It's gamble. I don't see anything in the chart that would tell me to get involved here. You know, this is the gap, so it's gap support right there. Okay, so you're basically there, so maybe you're going to rally. With, you know, I don't know. If I had to guess, which this is, you know, a pretty low probability guess, but I'd say we rally, fill this gap before earnings, and then who knows after earnings. You know, I would be out of it before earnings, but maybe it rallies and fills this gap. But again, kind of a wild guess on that one. Okay, I covered Newmont, crude. Yeah, they came in and sold that thing on Friday. I was looking at the breakout. Here's crude futures. So at some point, it did break out. I think it's actually above. So we'll see if we get continuation. Not super, you know, it's still pretty close, but that was resistance before. It's above now. So yeah, if crude breaks out, then, you know, that's going to put pressure on the Fed and on inflation. Let's look at these. So you look at XOP. It's kind of a breakout. Exxon Mobil at the 200 resistance, so it's got to clear that. XLE, some downtrend line potential resistance there. So I think it's got to do a little more work. A little more work to be done here in the oil sector for us to call it a breakout. SMCI. I am still short this one. I think I'm down like 5% on it or something. It's not a huge position because this thing moves a lot. All right, 4, 5, 10% in a day is the normal. It could move even more. This is a mania stock right now. So again, if you're in it, don't take a position that is gonna kill you. This is not a get rich quick stock. It can wreck you. So we're still trading this candle. All right. The biggest trade it's a very clean and easy defined trade. I don't know if it's going to work, but bearish engulfing candle. Okay. We don't really have divergence. So they might do this. All right. I'd say it's a decent probability. I'm going to stay in the trade, but they might run it up and just pop that candle. I don't think they're going to pop it by much, and I don't think maybe they get a daily close just barely above it. I would say it's going to be really marginal, and that would put in a divergent high. So run up, pop it, put in your divergent high, and then dump it. That I would say is a decent probability that happens. But I don't know if that's going to happen. If it does, that's a rally. It's 15% up, roughly. So again, that's what I'm saying. You got to be able to ride out kind of big moves on this one. But I don't know they're going to do that. And if they don't do that, and let's just say this was the breakdown and they're just going to dump it, then down we go 60%. So that's the trade. If they start closing substantially above this candle right here, it negates that as a topping stick, and I'm out. I'll stop out. So that's that one. No risk, no reward. There was a news on someone says SMCI huge March put selling. Yeah. So if you're selling puts, then you're trying to make money on, you're expecting the stock to not go down, essentially. I don't understand options a whole lot, but that to me seems like you're like collecting premium, basically. You don't think the market's going to go down. Maybe. And again, I think that pattern that I just talked about there's a good chance that happens. Okay, lift and net. Oh, SMCI just got added to the S&P 500, 5:15 Friday afternoon. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, it's so again, yeah, we gap up. We might gap up on Monday. So again, I pointed out the trade. The chart's still there. It still indicates that we can still trade the pattern, and where the stops are at. So it's a defined risk. Lift. All right. This one, kind of holding the support line. You can see that's former resistance, holding support. So that's it. It's at support. But it's got negative divergence. Here's the thing. That is a divergent high, and PPO clearly. So that's a negative divergence. I'd put better probability that this support fails. And what I'd wait for is a break of that trend line. All right, you break that support. It's about 16. That'd be the sell signal. The probability's higher, more elevated that's going to happen. And then you look at these gap fills and then potential trend line support down here. So that is lift. Okay, net. Looks kind of similar. I'm not sure on this one. I don't know if I'd want to short it. The divergence doesn't look strong enough. It's in an uptrend. I would, I don't know. It looks more like a long to me if I had to pick, but let me see what these trend lines are. See, look at that. See that trend line I had marked out from the past? I just didn't extend it. I extended it out and I zoom in. You can see, boom. Look, they were above that trend line. Look where they closed, right below it. So, yeah. That's resistance there, but, yeah, I just don't see enough that tells me I want to short it right here. Yeah. Okay, nat gas. Kind of looks like a long to me, but it's, I don't know. I'm just not quite sold on it yet for nat gas. We've got a potential uptrend line. Big gap up. Looks like we had a downtrend here, and it gapped up and broke trend back test. So I'd be looking at longs on this more than shorts. Although they could dump it and spike it, kind of spike the low, put in another divergent low. That's possible, but it seems like it's in the area where it should be bottomed out. One way to manage that risk is to nibble on it, build a position over time. Or add to winning positions. If it's working, you can add to it on breaks of resistance. Resistance looks like to be right about 1798 on UNG. So, I don't know. Probably going up there. All right, so cat in an uptrend with negative divergence. All right, there's your divergence. In an uptrend, no sell signal. So we need to see this trend break. Support, support. We need to see that trend break for the sell signal. DK and DraftKings. In an uptrend with negative divergence. All right, so good support, 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 support. So we need to see that break for the sell signal. I think it's at resistance or near resistance, around 44.65. They might pop it, but again, the sell signal comes on the break of that trend line, so just maybe be patient on that one. I did cover Tesla already, so you can go back and watch that one. Mod. Kind of going parabolic there. I'm going to stick with this as my trend line. The reason why, I've got a reaction here. I've got a reaction here. I have a breakdown of that trend line here, but I've got bullish divergence during that breakdown. There it is right there. See, the bullish divergence signaled that this breakdown was like false breakdown. And then I've got this big gap up right there. So I'm going to stick with that as my trend line. And it's above trend. Momentum looks fine. Yeah, I don't see any reason to short it. Now it's pretty extended, so you know you got to narrow it down to the hourly chart to find the shorter term moves. But longer term on the daily chart, you know, it's there's the hourly, you know, so yeah, maybe a pullback. But in the longer term, it still looks like it's in a bull trend, and there's no real indication that that trend's over. So, wheat. Yeah, wheat's been a grind, man. There's wheat, you know, bullish divergence, bullish falling wedge. There's no change here. It just continues to kind of build. So, I'm just waiting, basically. And then if you look at wheat futures, you know, back at support. So that's it. Just kind of waiting for it to take out some resistance levels and break out, you know, and it just hasn't done that yet. So just waiting on that one. Okay, let's see here. OXY. Well, that's an oil stock, right? Occidental Petroleum. We kind of covered those. The oil, I think it's just a little more work. It looks like it's going to break out, but it just hasn't quite yet. So I got a lot of stuff just right there at resistance or just slightly above support. I think a little more work to go, but it looks constructive. Med, did I cover that one already? Metafast. Okay, so there's your downtrend line. Deeply entrenched in a bear market. Looks like a selling climax to me. What I need to see, though, is bullish divergence on this one. And we just don't have that yet. So I'd prefer to see that. It's probably there on the hourly, but I mean, that's like a divergent low. But maybe on the daily, you know, bullish divergence on the daily is what I'd be looking for, and it just doesn't quite have it. So it might grind here for a little while. You might kind of pop, make a new low, divergent low, kind of grind. To me, it looks like a selling climax, but the divergence, I don't want to see that. And then probably a recovery of this trend line here. Okay, you recover that, boom, you should go to the top. And that would be the trade for now. Okay, I did cover Tesla already. I covered Lyft. Uber. Bearish rising wedge, negative divergence. No sell signal. So, just waiting for a break of trend. This is your little pre-NVIDIA. Everything popped. The whole market rallied based on NVIDIA. Just the waiting, you know. So, yeah. Sell signal likely to come soon on that one, but it's not there yet. NYCB, I wouldn't touch it. That's that bank that's imploding. I wouldn't touch that one. MLKN. Is that right? MLKN? I don't see it. MLKN. Is it this one? Miller, no. Herman Miller is what this person said, but this is Miller Knoll. I don't know. Divergent high, likely going to get a sell signal. Probably down to this support line. Nothing's changed here. Someone just said, despite the war in Ukraine, Australia had a bumper wheat crop. Because part of that, I believe, is all right. So here's the war in Ukraine. Prices spike like crazy. Farmers and everybody plants wheat, trying to catch the high prices. And the market anticipates that and says, okay, there's going to be an excess supply of wheat because everybody just, because of the high prices, that in the future there'll be excess supply, and then they front run it. So that's how I view that. All right, just about finished, guys. No more. I'm going to just go through what's remaining here. Zim. Looks like a bull flag for sure. Flagpole, flagging out, measured target would be something like that. That's real rough, but it looks like a bull flag. You do have some divergence, though. These are divergent highs. That's the downtrend. Your downtrend was there, and here's your bullish divergence right there. It's not great, but your buy signal really came down, basically down over here when you broke that downtrend. It's actually a little closer. Let me kind of tighten it up. It's actually, it's really about right there. So I don't know about buying it here, but it kind of looks like a bull flag, but you have negative divergence, so I'd probably pass on the bull flag option. Maybe another back test. VSCO. Divergent high. In an uptrend, right at support. Sell signal to come on a break of trend, which hasn't happened yet. So, and then you got earnings. So, I don't know. For me, it's kind of silly how they love to set this up, because it doesn't give you a really good opportunity to jump in unless you're willing to take on a ton of risk, because they're closing it. You got support. They close it right at support. Earnings on Wednesday, so maybe it breaks before then. But see, a breakdown that occurs right before earnings, those are suspect. What I'd prefer to see is something like this. Rally up into earnings. Earnings come out and then break trend. And the best is when it doesn't run away and just like gap down 30%, The best is if you can gap it down below trend and then boom, you'll dump out. So, no sell signal on that one. Someone says I skipped your SUI. Take a look. This is a REIT, so they're going to pay a big dividend. At least I would think they're going to pay a dividend. I don't see where the dividend's at, but usually REITs are going to pay. Yeah, you can see it's paying a big dividend. So they don't usually move a lot. They're very interest rate sensitive, so you're going to want to watch those interest rates. Interest, I don't know. I only have 2 data points there. I mean, that's a cleaner trend line there. I got more data points. Negative divergence. So I would say it's going down again. Probably another leg lower. If interest rates spike, and I think they're going to, but maybe they don't. But if they do, then this should do that. And then, okay, I had one more. Disney, and then this is the last one, guys. Still holding that bull trend. Still looks bullish to me, to be honest. I don't see, there's no real divergence. You got good momentum. You've got price action moving higher. To me, it's by the dip, I guess, on that one. Yeah, I'd say by the dip. That's what it looks like to me. So, and then you have a potential trend line here. This is potential. 1, 2, let's say this kind of grinds around, hits it, then you get a reaction. You have 3, it validates the trend line. It would be definitely by the dip. So as of right now on that one, yeah, I would buy the dip. If you get pullbacks to, gap fill, maybe this trend line, I'd be looking to be a buyer. Okay, that's all I got. I'm going to wrap it up. I'll catch you guys on